Going on, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of the YouTube? John Matrix here. We are going to be jumping into another video from the Exploring series in the Exploring the SCP Foundation series. Today we're going to check out SCP-507, the Reluctant Dimension Hopper. I don't have any idea of what this is going to be about, what to expect, other than someone that potentially is jumping around between dimensions that doesn't want to. So I guess let's just jump into this video here and check it out. As always, there will be links down below in the description to the Exploring series and to this original video without my commentary and reaction, excuse me. So if you would do me the favor, if you would go over there and check out this original video of his, if you like it, you know, give it a like. If you enjoy his content, give him a sub, give the man some support. He makes a lot of great YouTube content. We're also doing this live, as you can see, for my YouTube members. So if you would like to join in the discussions and hang out and chill while we do these reactions live, there is a join button down below. You can feel free to click that join button, see if any of the YouTube membership benefits that I offer have any kind of interest to you. And if you do, we'd love to have you around here and join in our discussions that we have. But for now, we're going to jump into this here video. So again, this is the Exploring SCP Foundation, SCP-507, Reluctant Dimension Hopper by the Exploring series.
SCP-507, Reluctant Dimension Hopper. Most of the SCPs on the list are things alien to our existence, in one way or another. We're not sure how or why they exist, and there's little for us to relate to when discussing them. There are SCPs, however, that are in most ways normal humans, and they need to eat, sleep, and go to the bathroom, like the rest of us.
Yep.
But something makes them quite unique. Most of these anomalous humans end up being somewhat depressing, in some fashion, due to being confined for the rest of their lives by the Foundation, or their anomalous property affects them in a very negative way.
Yeah, I mean, that would really suck to just be born, I guess, technically like a mutant, you know? Like, you think about the mutants from the X-Men, but in a situation where, yeah, like, you can live your life, but you're kind of stuck in this one little box because, you know, you just happen to be born with this anomalous, you know, ability. So, that would suck. I mean, just think about it. Think about it. You're going to be either confined or killed, so might as well cooperate, I guess, and have some kind of life. You know what I mean?
It's this aspect that we'll focus on today, while discussing SCP-507. As I mentioned, 507 is a normal human in practically every way. Caucasian, blonde hair with green eyes, and somewhat overweight. He needs to eat, drink, and sleep, and possesses no special physical or biological traits. This is often unfortunate for him, however, as his anomalous property forces him to occasionally shift into another dimension or reality.
Bro, could you imagine that? Could you imagine, like, going to sleep, being in one place, and then you just wake up and you're in a completely different dimension? It's like, God damn it, not again. You know what I'm saying? Like, you do, like, in, like, what kind of, like, where would you wake up? Like, you're sitting there sleeping, all of a sudden you wake up, you're in some kind of, like, giant ocean planet, you know, version of Earth, where God knows what's going on, or some kind of desert planet,
I'm
or
looking for Ray Finkel and a clean pair of shorts.
All right, well, someone just subscribed on the YouTube channel, appreciate it. I don't know why that happens, honestly. I have my alerts turned off, but somehow they still come through. But I greatly appreciate the sub, and that you're looking for Ray Finkel and a clean pair of shorts. But yeah, just imagine that, dude. Imagine you just having this anomalous property where you can just shift to dimensions and you just wake up in some kind of like random dimension in your sleep, not meaning to. You know what I mean? Like, that would suck. And it could be anything. You like literally, you could like go to like you could appear in an upside, what would be the equivalent of like the upside down from, you know, Stranger Things, or some kind of ocean planet where you're just stuck out in the middle of the ocean with God knows what under the water there, or you know, a primordial version of Earth where there's still no real oxygen, or any number of things. Like, that would be terrible. Imagine if you just have a stupid anomaly that made your skin some kind of neon color. You need to be Foundation custody for that, right? That would kind of suck, actually. Yeah, being contained for just being slightly abnormal, but nothing cool, nothing really dangerous, but still having to be contained for that. I mean, I guess they would probably give you at least some kind of autonomy. I guess you would probably still be able to have all the comforts of like what would be a normal human life. I mean, like nowadays with technology, man, you probably just have your own place, you know, that's contained and just be a gamer. You know what I mean? You just have a nice little computer set up, your PlayStation or whatever, dude, and just game all day. You ain't got to worry. I can't go anywhere. Sorry, man. SCP contained me, brother. I mean, I can't go nowhere. No kidding. This guy's life sucks. Yeah, that would be terrible.
Into another dimension or reality. These shifts are spontaneous, even occurring while sleeping or using the bathroom. And 507 has no control over when he shifts.
Dude, yeah, you're just sitting there taking a shit, and all of a sudden you're just like pop into another dimension, you know, mid pooping. Like, that would be terrible.
Into another dimension, or when he shifts back. These alternate dimensions vary wildly, with some being only slightly different from our baseline reality, and others drastically different, featuring dangerous entities or conditions. 507's containment procedures mainly...
And like, because I guess of the potential nature of the multiverse being that there's like a potential version, a potential infinite number of versions of Earth, like it would be impossible to prepare for too, of like where and what you would jump into, like what dimension you would, like literally there's probably an actual 40K universe dimension out there, you know, where you just jump in and all of a sudden you're on Terra on the 40K universe, you know, like you get jumped by a bunch of custodians for appearing in the Golden Throne and just get massacred for no reason other than you accidentally teleported there while you're taking a dump. Like, that would suck. As long as I have access to Lego SP, Space Marine Mini SP, then I'd be happy in there.
Entities or conditions. 507's containment procedures mainly involve him being constantly monitored, and although he is allowed much more freedom than most SCPs, he is still normally confined to a Foundation facility. He has a tracking device implanted in him so that the Foundation can easily retrieve him after a shift, as he rarely pops back up where he left. After retrieval, he'll generally give a report on the dimension he visited, as well as potentially make any requests.
I'm surprised they wouldn't have some kind of like GoPro strapped to him at all times to just record where he goes. You know what I'm saying? So they could actually get like visual and potentially instrumental readings of what dimension he went into and what's going on over there. You know, I don't know.
Such as a flashlight he can carry, or a gun that shoots rubber bullets.
Fuck rubber bullets, dog. If I get transported to some kind of world where there's like, you know, Godzilla type creatures or something like that over there, rubber bullets ain't gonna do nothing. You can give me something a little bit more than that.
Possible for someone, or a gun that shoots rubber bullets. It is possible for someone else to travel with 507 if they are touching him when he shifts. But after the Foundation inadvertently discovered this, losing an agent in the process, they established a new protocol that no one is allowed to touch 507 after 2 weeks from him returning from a shift. They learned that there's always a period of at least 2 weeks between shifts.
Interesting, okay.
Which gives 507 at least some time to rest safely. The main bulk of 507's article, then, is comprised of a log recording all of his shifts since arriving in the Foundation's custody. There's simply too many here for me to go over all of them in detail, and likely more will continue to be added as time goes on, so I'd encourage you to read through them yourself if you're interested. In one dimension, 507 was left in complete darkness, and began to fumble around looking for a light or a way out, but after hearing something like soft breathing nearby, decided to just stop and wait it out.
Yikes.
507 later shifted back to what seemed like the same location, but now had a flashlight that he carried with him. He turned on the flashlight and saw a man in a business suit with an impossibly wide smile leaning only inches from his face.
We got Joker over here.
The smiling man asked, "Back so soon?" causing
Yikes.
507 to switch off the flashlight, discharge all of his rubber bullets from his gun, and crawl into a corner. Another time, in apparently the same dimension, 507 heard muted breathing again, and began wandering around in the darkness until he saw a light source at the end of a corridor. As he grew closer, the light grew in intensity, and 507 began experiencing a searing pain, causing him to pass out. When he was retrieved, the top layer of his epidermis had been found to be burned away.
Yikes.
And he was wearing a pair of large sunglasses, although 507 didn't know where they came from. 507 traveled to this dimension yet again, turned on his flashlight, and found the smiling man in front of him, with a mysterious brown liquid leaking from behind his sunglasses. The smiling man asked, "Why did you do this?" before wiping some of the brown liquid and rubbing it on 507's cheek.
No, thank you.
Causing him to push the smiling man away. Now he noticed that the smiling man's suit contained several holes, with brown liquid trailing down from them. 507 attempted to shoot his pistol at the entity, but it failed to fire, causing him to flee and hide for the rest of the shift. In another instance, 507 traveled to a forest and grew hungry, so he ate some of the local plant life. The plants then unleashed some form of a telepathic scream in response,
Yikes.
causing him to abstain from eating anything.
That would be terrible, yeah. You just think about that. You just sit there and you just like take a little munch of some broccoli, and then all of a sudden you're in an entire forest screaming your brain. Okay.
The following day, however, he grew hungry enough to deal with the screams and ate some of the plants. Sometime later, 507 traveled back to this dimension, but this time the plants apparently remembered him and screamed non-stop for 4 days.
Jesus Christ.
Later, he returned to this dimension again, but this time the plants remained silent, and so 507 climbed to the top of a nearby hill to get a lay of the land. He saw that the forest was thick with trees in all directions, and surrounding the forest was a massive blue dome. There have been a number of times that 507 has shifted into a dimension and encountered an analog to the SCP Foundation. In one dimension, the Foundation was known as the Society for Containment of the Paranormal, possessing a strong British influence, and was opposed by the Covert Occult Group and the Church of the Mending God. 507 was detained as an intruder and repeatedly questioned until he shifted back. Another time, 507 was gone from our dimension for 3 months, during which he encountered another Foundation equivalent, but this time managed to become a member of their personnel.
What?
507 managed to learn about several SCPs that our Foundation did not know about, allowing them to later retrieve them, and was working in...
Interesting. Well, I mean, like, potentially it could just be that those SCPs don't exist in our, reality, you know what I mean? They could have died, or something else could have happened, and they just never were created, or, whatever, and they're just a part of another reality. But that's pretty interesting. It's pretty interesting that he was gone for 3 months and was able to essentially, like, infiltrate the SCP of that dimension and become, like, an actual employee there and learn about... excuse me, other SCPs and stuff like that. That's interesting. It's interesting that they would let him do that. You know what I mean? You would think that they would, even if they just heard his explanation of what he is and how he got there, they would probably like, oh, you're just some dude with an anomalous, property. We'll just contain you instead of, hiring him to work with him, I guess. You know what I mean? I don't know.
That our Foundation did not know about, allowing them to later retrieve them, and was working in the field to retrieve another one when he finally shifted back. Curiously, our Foundation had sent an MTF to retrieve the same SCP during that time, suggesting an unusual potential connection between the two dimensions. In another dimension, 507 found that their Foundation equivalent had...
I mean, yeah, I just used the word infiltrate, but yeah, I mean, like, he joined them, but you know what I mean. But it's interesting that it sounds like there's almost kind of like a slight time delay correlation between this dimension that he went to and the one that he's actually from. Like maybe the one that he went to is just, a few days, weeks, or months ahead and that the SCP that he goes back to just hadn't gotten around to discovering those ones yet. That's interesting.
In another dimension, 507 found that their Foundation equivalent had inverted all of the offices and containment chambers, so that the Foundation personnel were being contained due to their ability to create dangerous experiments, and the containment staff consisted of anomalous humanoids, although more docile than our reality's versions.
Interesting.
Due to this, the facility was filled with memetic hazards and other dangers, and it is unknown how a more drastic scenario had not already occurred there.
True.
Other times, 507 has actually encountered other versions of himself. In one reality, 507 found himself in the midst of a snowstorm, drastically unprepared. Before he succumbed to exposure, however, he was rescued by another man and pulled into a cave. 507 was led to an underground hot spring to recover, and was soon joined by the man, who turned out to be another version of himself.
That would be fucking weird, dude. To, like, meet another version of yourself from another reality. Like, for real, how trippy would that be? You know, like, seeing another version of yourself that potentially could look different, be, you know, in better shape, worse shape, you know, have a completely different life, a completely different demeanor, etc., etc. That would just be so trippy. Just I guess, to see other potentials of what you could have been or become. I don't know. That's just a trippy idea.
By the man, who turned out to be another version of himself. The conversation between the two is unlogged, but 507 noticed that this version of him had scarring across his torso and at the bases of his limbs. In a more notable example, the Foundation found two 507s in his containment chamber who had been talking for some time. Both of them admitted to encountering the smiling man, showing a potential connection between the entity and all versions of 507.
Interesting. Or it could just be that potentially all versions of 507 have this anomalous ability and they all just kind of phase together to different realities and they just happen to have jumped into that different reality. I don't know. That's weird.
Both of them had also decided not to admit which one belonged to this dimension and which one was the visitor. While talking, one of the 507s disappears, and the doctor asks the remaining one what the difference between their realities was. The remaining 507 says that in the other's reality, Lincoln was killed by his vice president, instead of by General Lee. The doctor informs him that in this reality, Booth assassinated Lincoln. We're informed that testing revealed that 507's ability has no biological basing, as severed pieces still shift along with the main body, suggesting the Foundation maimed that version of 507 in some way before he shifted back. Our version of 507 returned a few days later, and was not informed of the incident.
It's kind of weird they wouldn't inform him. I don't know why they wouldn't tell him, but I guess to not cause him to freak out. I don't know. I would want to know just because I'd be curious, because that's who I am, but I don't know.
Like I said, 507 is not a particularly cheerful tale, as he lives his entire life either trapped in a Foundation facility or teleporting off to an alien world.
Yeah. And again, it's like you don't really know where you're going to go, so there's nothing really to prepare you. I would want to have, I don't know, man. I would definitely be like, bruh, I'm having more than just a gun with some rubber bullets to protect myself, dude. Like, I would have, like when I go to sleep, I would, like, have some kind of suit of some kind of protective gear on me. I would have a backpack with some supplies, at least some food and water to last for a few days, you know, because who knows where the fuck you're going to go. Like, the forest or whatever that, you know, just has plants there and nothing else. Like, what if the plants happen to not be edible or we're just poisonous? Like, what are you going to do? You're just going to starve? Like, I don't know, man. But, like, yeah, I would be a little bit more prepared, I guess, as much as possible for whenever I shift. But, like, there's still it's like you still can't be prepared for everything. And, like, yeah, I don't know. It would just suck. It would just suck. Because, like, You could be in the middle of doing whatever and all of a sudden you just phase out. Like there's no rhyme or reason to where you go or when you go. The only blessing that you have is that once you return, you know, you got 2 weeks before you go out of there again. So you gotta like plan around that. And then after that 2 week period, it's like, well, any minute now, it's gonna happen. Any minute now. And so like, for me, that would build up like this sense of anxiety of like, when is it gonna happen? Is it gonna happen now? Is it happening now? When is it gonna happen? I'm feeling a little weird. Is it about to happen? Nope. Okay. What, you know what I'm saying? Like, is it the Taco Bell that I just ate, or am I about to fucking warp to some dimension where, you know, I'm going to be in Jurassic Park world and I got a bunch of velociraptors chasing me? You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Yeah, there's definitely some kind of correlation events of 2 timelines, hence why the Foundation didn't tell their own, yeah.
Some of these are nightmarish and horrific, filled with spiders, hostile aliens, or hazardous environments, while others are surprisingly pleasant. One dimension was so...
I mean, like, I wouldn't care, dude. I would figure out something. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, look, man, I'm just a regular dude, and I happen to get fucking pulled through different dimensions. You got to throw me a bone here, man. If you want me to stay here and be contained, cool. I'll stay here and be contained, but I'm not just gonna go to some other dimension with a flashlight and a gun with some rubber bullets, brother. Like, you're gonna give me some kind of protective gear. Like, you got all kinds of like SCP. I mean, I guess he wouldn't necessarily. Well, maybe he would, because he's gone on field missions in other SCP universes. So he's got to know, or at least have an idea, that the SCP that he's from probably has some kind of field agents with gear. So like, brother, you're gonna give me some upgrades here, man. You can give me some kind of bodysuit, you know, with some armor that can maybe give me some environmental protection. Give me a backpack with, you know, a little bit of some food and water, some rations, something, you know, some basic survival gear so I can like make a fire and you know, maybe make some kind of shelter, etc., etc. You know, otherwise I'm not gonna just sit here and let y'all contain me. You know what I mean? There's got to be some kind of give and take here. Like, I wouldn't cooperate with them then if that's the case. Because, like, for real, like, I'm just a normal guy that happens and gets dragged around. So, like, you want me to cooperate with you and log things and tell you this, that, and the other thing and be part of your experiments, then you're going to have to give me what I require in order to keep myself alive.
So perfect that 507 attempted to hostile aliens or hazardous environments, while others are surprisingly pleasant. One dimension was so perfect that 507 attempted to commit suicide after returning because nothing could compare. While 507 is ripe for creative writing due to the infinite number of alternate dimensions he could travel to, it's also interesting due to some of the questions that go unanswered, such as why he hasn't shifted into a dimension where he's encased in rock,
right,
or on a planet with no breathable air.
Right.
Despite the limitless amount of potential dangers, 507 always manages to make it back home, and most of the time in relatively good spirits.
I mean, to be honest, this would be a premise for an interesting show. You know what I mean? It's kind of reminiscent of Quantum Leap in a way. You guys remember, you know, Quantum Leap with Sam Beckett, and I know they remade it. I haven't seen the remade version that's, you know, come out recently, but the idea that you keep, you know, jumping around to different universes with different potential things going on, it could be an interesting premise for a TV show or, you know, a novel series or something like that, or a movie series. But yeah.
Although I would never want a life like 507's,
For real,
I certainly enjoy reading about it.
And there's one thing you can say is he ain't got a boring life, that's for sure. Let's see what this quote is. Subject arrived at the mouth of a cave, surrounded by almost unbearable heat. Subject walked outside the cave for further investigation to find that the area around it was a baked wasteland. Most of the heat appeared to emanate from 2 suns in the sky. Subject could not decide whether they were extremely large or extremely close to the planet. Upon further examination, the suns blinked and turned away, taking the heat with them. Subject spent the rest of his shift as far back in the cave as possible. Interesting. Well, I mean, for the most part, I've kind of given my thoughts on this, you know, video already, and the idea of that. I mean, it would just suck to be this dude where, like, other than the 2 week grace period that you know of where you're not going to shift, like, I would probably be in just like a constant state of anxiety of when is it going to happen? Where am I going to go? What's going to happen when I get there? Blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? Like, it would be tough. It would be tough. And like I said, I would want to be as prepared as possible. And if these SCP dudes aren't going to give me at least, you know, some kind of gear that I can take to survive and do some things with, I wouldn't cooperate with them then. You know what I'm saying? And I'm talking about like something that's like beyond just like, here's a flashlight, a pistol with rubber bullets, and maybe a lighter so you can start a fire. Like, I'm talking about some kind of survival gear, you know, a decent knife, maybe some kind of hatchet or something like that, to chop some wood with to make some shelters. You know, like I said, some food, some rations, some water, and some kind of survival gear, you know, some kind of maybe environmental protection suit so that I'm not just, you know, gonna walk into some kind of radiation hazard, or, you know, if I get attacked by creatures, I have some kind of protection, you know, etc., etc., etc. But it would be, yeah, it'd be rough. It'd be kind of a shitty life, you know, always teleporting around, not knowing where you're going to, going to sleep, you teleport, you're taking a dump, you're teleporting, you're in the middle of a meal, you teleport. Like, how much would that suck, dude? You're starving, you go out to a nice meal, dude, or I guess technically the meal would be brought to him, you know, sitting down, having a nice, you know, steak and potatoes dinner, you're about ready to bite into that juicy ribeye, and then boom, you're teleported away, and that meal's gone to waste now. Like, fucking. His rations, flashlight, gun, rubber bullets, maybe some weapons, flares. I remember specifically. I don't understand everything going with the Vulcan video. Yeah. Well, we'll probably end up doing a follow-up to this with the Vulcan video. So, but yeah, that's gonna do it for this one, guys. I appreciate you coming in, hanging out, and watching the video. As always, links will be down below in the description to the original video without my commentary and reaction, and to the Exploring Series channel. So if you would do me a favor, go over there, check out the Exploring Series channel. Check out all his content. He does a lot of great SCP stuff and content for other universes. If you like this video that he created, give it a like, give him a sub, etc., etc. As you can see, we're doing this reaction live here for my YouTube members. So if you would like to come and join in the discussions as we do these reactions, there's a join button down below the video. You can click that, see if any of the YouTube membership benefits have any interest to you. But regardless, I just appreciate you guys coming and hanging out, watching the video here. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, consider leaving a like and a sub, as it would help me and helps the channel grow, and I would greatly appreciate it. But regardless of all that, I just greatly appreciate you taking the time to come out and hang out, watch the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you're having a wonderful day whenever you're watching this. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take it easy.